Hi everybody, and welcome to another installment of MegoMuseum's Vintage Mego. This week we're going to take another deep look into a vintage Mego catalog, and this is one of my favorites. This is Mego 1976, and I'm going to break this up into two parts because there's just so much stuff. But this is a company that is just on the incline. The 70s were very good for Mego, and year after year they had hit after hit, and 76 was a fantastic year for the company. They are coming off the heels of things like the World's Greatest Superheroes, which is still burning very brightly, the Planet of the Apes phenomenon, and Star Trek, which was sort of the surprise hit of 1975. This is a particularly interesting year for Mego, as they are now setting their sights on other aisles of the toy store, not just the action figure aisle, which they are completely dominating by this year. However, we're going to focus on the new toy lines, the expansion part, more in the second installment of this episode. This one will be primarily the action figure output, what Mego was doing best, and what we're all fans of, and you can just kind of see the progression and the growth here. So what I'm going to do, as always, is play a little slideshow of all the imagery, and then I will come back and talk about some of the high points and interesting things in this catalog. Hang tight. So let's talk about the beginning of the catalog. That's usually where Mego would put its biggest hits. And Star Trek, a toy line that only had about 4 pages in the Mego 1975 catalog, was a runaway hit for the company. So they started with that first. So they decided to open with this, absolutely gorgeous spread of packaging artwork done by Harold Schull, who would later become Mego's art director. 76 would see 4 new action figures in the Star Trek line in the form of the Star Trek aliens. I've done a very comprehensive Vintage Mego episode about that, and I will put the link here. The other big addition to 1976 was a new playset. This is the Mission to Gamma 6. We've talked about it on the channel before. One of the new bits of information I discovered is that this was invented by famous toy inventor Eddie Goldfarb, who created things like the Chattering Teeth and the Phantom 4 hovercraft, among other things. He is still alive. He is 99 years old, and he is still inventing toys, and I highly recommend that you check out his story and his Instagram. The phaser target game was a very early and rough precursor to what would become popular and known as laser tag in the 1980s. This is, of course, a bit clunkier a rendition, but this is 70s technology we are talking about. I absolutely adore the box art on this. Scotty shooting that Charon is just pure bliss to me. One of the biggest selling Star Trek items of 1975 was the Communicator Set, which was a big hit with kids. So Mego expanded upon that by adding the Communication Command Console, which is basically just a non-portable walkie-talkie, and the tricorder, which is a tape recorder. I think that's one of the most clever things Mego did. They made the tricorder a functional tape recorder, and in fact, it included audio from the episode The Menagerie, at least part of it. I haven't heard that tape in a very long time. The phaser battle game is a large piece of Mego electronics. We've come a long way, people. This is an interesting package design. If you'll notice, the kid really doesn't have all his features, and artist Harold Shull did tell me that this kind of got yanked out of his hands. He wasn't done, and they needed to get it to the factory, and he was not totally happy that it came out this way. He really would have liked to have put a little more detail into that kid's face. The other interesting thing about this set is it is the only Mego Star Trek item in the 1978 catalog, and this is because Paramount asked Mego to kind of hold off on TV series stuff in anticipation for the movie, so it was like a gap year. For some reason, the electronic game was allowed. The world's greatest superheroes brand is still on fire in 1976, and they add 6 new characters to this. This would be all Marvel assortment this year, with the inclusion of the Fantastic Four, Thor, and I know he's not technically Marvel, but Conan. 3 new vehicles would be introduced in the form of the Spider car, the Captain America car, and the Green Arrow car. Cap and Green Arrow would lose their wheels pretty quickly. They were not hot sellers. However, the Spider car would remain with Mego right up into the bitter end. It was a very popular seller. The Hall of Justice was the new playset for that year, and it was based, of course, on the Hall of Justice from the Super Friends television show. I want to do a Vintage Mego episode on this playset soon, so I'll save most of that trivia for that episode, but Mego was trying to create another Star Trek transporter situation with this playset and created a very interesting gimmick. In an inverse to Star Trek, Wizard of Oz returned in a slightly truncated format with some new items, most notably Dorothy's Munchkinland playset that has the Star Trek transporter in there. Wizard of Oz was a super smash for Mego in '75 and really put them on the map in terms of doing Hollywood productions. Wizard of Oz would not return in 1977, but it is highly regarded as a successful toy line. The Waltons enjoyed their second and final year at Mego with some new additions. The Country Store playset actually did get made. However, you never got Ike, who ran it. However, the barn playset that was proposed never got past the catalog stage. It was not produced. An interesting item in that set is the horse, which was used internationally as part of the Planet of the Apes set. I'm going to get into that in a future episode, but 1 million BC featured a family of cave people, some prehistoric creatures, and a proposed treehouse playset. This treehouse, surprisingly, is not the Planet of the Apes or Dynamite treehouse. Never got made. It does look actually fairly nicely done, and it's kind of sad it didn't get produced. The dinosaurs and figures did. This line was a slow seller and was canceled by 1977. 1976 would be the final year for the remaining Legends characters, namely the Merry Men and the Super Knights. I spoke to Marty Abrams about this a while back, and he mentioned to me that none of the Legends, the American West or any of these really took off. He mainly just thinks that the characters didn't resonate with kids. Starsky and Hutch are shown in prototype format. These guys would go through a lot of outfit changes for catalogs until they came out in the duds that they're wearing. I love this picture because Starsky is clearly wearing a Planet of the Apes astronaut jumpsuit that has been poorly cut. They both just look like customs put together with other figures, and I just love that look. That is part one of our look at the 1976 Mego catalog. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, I will launch with part two. I would love to know your feedback on this, your thoughts, your favorite stuff in here. Any happy childhood memories, you can hit me up in the comments below or in our Facebook group, Megomania, and of course at the forums at MegoMuseum.com. Thank you as always for watching. If you're new to this, I hope you'll consider hitting like and subscribe. We do this every week. And just a gentle reminder that pre-orders are open for issue 4 of our magazine, Toy Ventures. We have a wonderful Mego Mad Monsters article this time. And if you order now, you will get a free Mad Monsters pennant. That's for a limited time offer. Thanks as always for watching. Until next time, be well and talk toys, not others. Cheers.